wrap my mind around this. Adib Saani is a security analyst. He's a friend of the show. Adib, thanks so much for speaking to us this morning. I don't know if you are as shocked as I am. It feels like we're seeing from one of those old Nigerian movies. They open someone's door and there's a dead body on the floor. There's a head, arms, and legs in a fridge. It's a 28-year-old man they found things like this in his room. I don't know. Are you as shocked as I am right now, Adib?
Well, Daniel, I don't know whether it's due to my training or my experiences. For me, things of this nature doesn't really shock me much. And, sometimes when I take precautionary actions at home, my wife thinks I'm overly exaggerating the threat level, or sometimes she feels I'm paranoid. But it's a very dark world. I mean, the people we sleep with, the people we hang around with, our colleagues, and all that. Anybody can be that way without you necessarily knowing, unless you have certain special skills. It's a very dark world. That is why, as much as I can, anytime I have the opportunity, I educate especially parents to involve their children in the security management process. I mean, it's a treacherous world out there. The dangers are just too much. Right from when the children step out of the home, they walk, for some of us who have humble beginnings, you don't have that special privilege of your parents having to afford you a car that would move you from home to school and school to home. Rather, you would have to walk. So right from when you step out of the gates to when you get to the school, you are exposed to all sorts of people, predators, murderers, even serial killers, and all that. And right from when you step out of the gates of your school to your home. So it's important to educate the children. It's important to educate ourselves. And one more thing that this very dastardly act brings to mind is the seeming nonchalant nature of Ghanaians. I mean, we don't pay attention to detail, because I understand that this young man is a very quiet, reserved, nice person who has quite a number of following, considering what he does as a sports journalist. But I think that there are some signs that it usually comes with. But, as indifferent as we are to happenings within our homes, our communities, we might have missed it and allowed it to fester. So I think that the investigation should go beyond the 3 remains that has been found in his fridge. Maybe he could be a prolific serial killer. They should go back in time to not just that community, but neighboring communities, to find out whether indeed some other people were killed in this manner. A clear example is the case of the Kaswa boys who killed their friend. It has emerged that they have killed a pregnant woman in the past. So, I mean, it's quite disturbing, and it raises some fundamental issues that needs to be addressed as well.
Yeah, and very much so, Adib, because I'm looking at the sequence of events, and they went to report to the police. They suspected that this Richard Appiah may have something to do with it because he was last seen with him. But at that point, the claim was that they had no evidence. And as a result, the police could go no further. The people had to take it upon themselves, go back to the room, tear off the sieve, and check and peep and see and make sure that there is something there before the police would come back and then force their way in. How does this strike you? Look at that sequence of events. It doesn't seem right to me, Adib.
You see, Daniel, why am I tempted to think that if the police had responded in time, maybe, who knows, one or two of the deceased persons could have been saved. Because to make sense of it, we need to understand the psychology of murder, why people murder. I mean, according to Morale, who is one of the finest crime writers, that sometimes people kill for lustful reasons, some for love, some they have financial gain, some gluttony, they have done it before, they feel, oh, it's easy, I can do it again. Some are pushed by certain socioeconomic desires. Some have a valid motive. Perhaps they went into a business deal with the person and all that. So there are different reasons, okay? So it does happen. And one of the biggest issues we've had to contend with so far as crime fighting is concerned in the country is the response time, just as it happened with the Takoradi girls. I understand the parents reported to the police. There was inaction. At the point, the parents were even communicating with the kidnappers, and they are not professionals, so they wouldn't be able to do it right. In the end, what happened? So if the police had responded in time, had followed up on the leads, because in crime investigation, the first 24 hours is of the essence, is extremely key. Every second you let go or you waste, more crucial evidence going away. So if the police had followed up quickly enough, maybe some lives could have been saved. And I find it quite unfortunate that the people had to take the trouble to follow up to find out what had happened. So you think next time, if anything of that happens, or if the people have a reason to suspect that this person is a murderer, we go to the police, don't just go and lynch. And who knows, you could be lynching the wrong person. But under normal circumstances, the first thing you find out is who was the last person seen with the victim. Then you follow up on that lead. Go to the person's house, visit him. Oh, can we come in? You go in, your eyes will pan all over the place. So if there are crucial evidence, you can pick from there. Then the place becomes, the person moves from being a person of interest to a suspect. Then you follow it up quickly. But
yeah, you see, I'm sorry if I sound like I'm ranting, but from what you're saying, he became a person of interest as soon as it was suspected that it was known that he was the last person seen with the deceased, right? Exactly. The people say as soon as they entered the home, they smelled something funny. And I've been with policemen before. I've seen policemen enter a room and they said, look, something smells funny. That alone. And that led to a search and then at a point they found narcotics in there. My point here, Adib, is that should they not have quickly just gone to the house? Because and if what Precious tells me is right, they said that they had no reason to hold the guy out, to suspect the guy, because the guy had just spoken, and then that was just it.
That is sad. That is wrong. That is unethical. That is not the way to do things. Okay, immediately they should have followed up. I have read countless murder books. Okay, and there was one about a professor in the 80s, I think 1984, getting entangled with a prostitute. Later, they found some things in the garbage trash, including a doormat, okay? No, the fiber is a fiber from what they suspect to be a doormat, okay? So they subjected it to some analysis. And the day they visited, as he was standing at the door, they were speaking with him. An officer looked through the gates and realized that there was a doormat with similar color, okay? And that is what they used to place him on the suspect list, and eventually they realized that, yes, indeed, he had murdered that prostitute, okay? And later he pleaded guilty. I don't know what to say, whether it is a case of lack of training or sheer incompetence or just plain unbridled irresponsibility. Because I'm pretty sure that if it was someone with high societal standard, like a politician, the police would have acted in a faster manner than other people. I mean, we are in a country where you report cases to the police, and the police will tell you, we don't have a vehicle, so you would have to get a taxi to move us to the crime scene. So what if you don't have money? It means if you don't have money, you cannot go to the police. So this is really a problem. And like I always say, most of the investigation processes is manual, it's not digitalized, even though the vice president has on countless occasions made efforts to synergize, to integrate the system so we are able to have a central repository reference of some sort so far as investigations is concerned. But it still remains largely elusive. We've not been able to achieve that. And that, I must say, Daniel, is what is motivating more and more people to go into crime, hoping that they'll be left off the hook because ABC have done it. Nobody have been able to catch them. So if I also do it, nobody will be able to catch me. And in criminology, that is called rational choice, based on the fact that humans are rational beings who have the capability to think, who have the capability to juxtapose between the wrong and the right. And once the reward associated with perpetrating that crime is more than the risk, then the person is incentivized into going into it in the first place.
Okay, when you mentioned the fact that digitization of our records would help, my mind goes to a message I just received. It said, crimes like this will continue because we do not have a synchronized data system, no effective biodata taken at birth, nothing synced at the police department, no equipped labs to verify print and blood, DNA. Therefore, even suspects taken in are just based on guesswork. Same for robberies and other crimes. The fact that we are still primitive in things like this is why crime continues. Because I think the culprits also know that they may never be caught, or worse still, the wrong person may be captured in their stead. Look, I don't want us to belabor the point of the challenges that the police is facing, but what I want us to touch on is the reaction of the IGP himself. This is a new IGP, a lot of energy, but I can't help but feel encouraged that, yes, the system has a lot of challenges, but he acted that swiftly with a very human face to go and visit the family and transfer the case and what have you. What do you make of IGP Ekufu Dampare's reaction?
Well, I mean, I'm one person who is very confident in IGP Dampare. I mean, since he took over as acting IGP, I have been very categorical about my expectations and the fact that he's energetic, like you rightly mentioned, and has headed almost every important department or unit within the Ghana Police Service, and so understands the workings. IGP Dampare has no excuse to not perform, even though he took over at a rather very challenging time for the Ghana Police Service when crime seems to be on the increase, especially murders. And even the US Department of State has recognized that. But we should go beyond that firefighting way of approaching crime in the country. After it happens, then we go visit the people. I mean, like it happened with the case of the MP from Fansiman. Went and visited his family after he was killed. The Takoradi girls, we visited their families after they were killed. Now they're visiting another family. Why don't we prevent it from happening in the first place? And I think largely the only way out is for us to invest in situational crime prevention, creating an environment, creating a regime where it wouldn't be rewarding to commit a crime. And one of the ways we can do that is to increase the probability of arrest when you perpetrate the crime. And one of the ways that can happen is just what you talked about. That is improving the systems, having the digitalized systems, using 21st century technology, for crying out loud, to fight crime. But the thing is commitment. The cathedral is better. It's important we, invest in Cathedral over this. It's important we buy the V8s, the Land Cruisers over this. Okay, so if we have a committed leadership, a leadership that is committed to improving crime, improving investigations, okay, we will develop these systems. And I'll give you an example. The system is so porous that, Daniel, someone will perpetrate a crime in the north. He's arrested, he's incarcerated for some time. After he's released, he comes to Accra, perpetrates the same crime. He's arrested by Accra police, and they are not able to tell that this person has been caught for the same crime before in Tamil because of the lack of systems. Because under normal circumstances, the first thing that you do is to take his biometrics. That would give you a general overview about the person. In fact, police cruisers carry these databases. So by stopping you in traffic for minor infringements, they take your license and they're able to sit in their police vehicles, and every information about you is there. So if you are on the run, if you have indictments on your head and you are being dodgy about it, but we don't have it. And I don't think it's going to cost an awful lot of money for us to be able to achieve that. DNA database, biometric database. Some people even use iris, the iris of the eye, that database, you know. Unfortunately, the problem, commitment.
Adib, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's a very unfortunate story that we've heard. What we're going to do is that we'll hear from the father of the victim, of the deceased. And afterwards, we give you the chance to, we'll give you the chance to comment on this. This is the assemblyman, Esiama. His son is the 15-year-old whose body was cut up and put in the fridge. I mean, I'm shaking, just saying it alone bothers me, pardon me. We'll be right back, stay with us.
Steven Sapon, na Oku School or Knights of St. John's International, na Sunday, and na Okram said, let's move on. Maybe I know Norokan, Tiani Fieno, Mukan Bess about 300 meters. Where I say on the or to the Dia or Udine Diane, now watch TV. Now, unfortunately, a brow pre and a cop 637. When Rufi in Timla, you know, I can't cast a corner or quite no Rufi. Now, Cram catch the French version the whole night. No, you know, at the phone, the airport, my police. Investigation name, no, yeah, and Tishi on to San pay. That is said, yes, Ubi or Prim Fia, now of course, I fear no. I brand to you or come with her. You come here now. So we suffer with no credit, Tranin na pure national preaching. No one can send you so come home. Now, was I couldn't. I was already 12 years. Also called the same school. No, we did 15 years or JSS school. A brantiano, no crew woman say, was I madam for? Now, just 4 days, and all by say. It's only a Jumacrack away surveyor, quantity surveyor, or very few class. Or no one can stand a plot to be a wood city field, blossom and rain in a gusso. 3 trips near rain in 90, Minton Mano, and now, me a dame, Beton, Edemano, Inti and Noa, as yesterday, no, a branch of Lancasa by me fear her. No, so assembly, me a doing when I sang his Canada, or women of our Fracoton, so Matoni Pancra discovered by Tinumre, but no Madame for back with friend and I. If this can buy a cold fuel, the command 150 million.